Hey folks, welcome back to the Lone Pine Tarot, or as I always say, welcome to the channel for the very first time if you're brand new to Lone Pine Tarot, and thank you so much for joining me today for our pick a card reading on a topic I am pretty excited about. We're doing a higher self message, but more specifically, we're asking, what does your higher self want you to build and create? Or another way of putting that is, what were you born to build and create? So kind of like a life purpose message, but on a bit more of a focused micro scale, more on maybe one project in particular for you to, for your higher self to recommend that you focus on. So without further ado, let's pick our pile leaders using the Sickle Oracle today. There we go. Let's cut the deck. So pile 1, pile 2, pile 3. Pile 1 today. Your pile leader is Datura, sometimes known as Moonflower, or if you're interested in numerology to pick, we have number 52. So for pile 1, Datura. For pile 2 today, here in the middle, your pile leader is Aconite, number 46. Let's make them nice and even. Okay. And last but not least, for pile number 3, your pile leader is Henbane, or number 51. Very beautiful cards for our pile leaders today. So quick refresher, pile 1 is Datura or Moonflower, pile 2 is Aconite, and pile 3 is Henbane. But as I always say, you're welcome to pause on this part of the reading if you need more time to decide what pile you would like read for you. If you're new to pick a card readings and you're not quite sure how to go about picking one, if you would like, please follow me right now for our meditative moment we always have in our intros. So close your eyes and take in a deep, cleansing breath. Imagine breathing light into your lungs as you do so, then hold it for just a few moments. And then when you breathe back out again and open your eyes, where are they drawn most first out of these 3 different cards? And you'll kind of feel it like a knowing or a sort of bit of an energy in your gut, I guess we would call that, like our intuition, our gut feeling, hence using the term gut, right? And that is the pile I recommend you choose when you get that gut feeling when you look at that particular card. But whatever your method, you can drop down to the description box below or the top pinned comment beneath the video, find the timestamp for your pile, and I'll see you in our little chat about what your higher self wants you to build and create. What were you meant to build and create? See you there. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 1. Welcome today to your pick a card reading about what your higher self wants you to build and create. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to Datura or Moonflower as your pile leader. And this particular flower represents finding what is lost and seeing what others can't. It's basically a symbol of piercing beyond the veil. So of course, we'll see more details as your other cards pop up today, but I'm already getting an inkling that part of what your higher self wants you to create is something around your ability to see beyond. Now, sometimes we see that as manifesting in a way of actual spiritual abilities, like, say, clairvoyance is just one example. Really strong intuition, maybe you resonate really well with those things. Or it can manifest even in more mundane ways. Maybe you just have a really piercing analytical insight. Maybe you're really good about having a thirst or a curiosity for wanting to know what is beyond. Maybe you're interested in paranormal things. Maybe you're interested in mysteries and whatnot, in which case this is definitely a reading for you, and it's definitely going to, this thing that your higher self wants you to build is going to tie into that, okay? So let's put your pile leader over to the left like we usually do. Actually, we're going to pop that one up here, and then we're going to let's do your tarot cards to begin, and then we will see more details with your oracle cards at the end. So, higher self of pile number 1. How do you see this thing manifesting? What more do you want to say about what you want them to build or create? Okay, we've got the 6 of Cups reversed as your very first card, pile 1, and the 6 of Cups reversed tends to be a warning about nostalgia, a warning about being stuck in the past too much. So there might be a little bit of a forwardness orientation with this particular goal, or maybe you as a person, pile 1, maybe you don't like to dwell on the past very much. Maybe you're kind of more of a forward thinking, let's fix what we can today. Let's focus on the future, not so much on the past kind of driven person. Okay. Especially because this is the first card, which I always call the inciting incident in my particular spread I like to use, which in this kind of reading pile, number 1, is basically like, what is the core piece of what fuels this thing that your higher self wants you to build and create? Okay. So let's see, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's look at the other cards. So the 6 of Cups reversed, then we've got the Devil, that which binds us, that which holds us back, okay? Can also represent addictions, of course, can represent sins, can represent things that, just like we see here with the pitcher plant about to trap in that praying mantis. Almost, I call it sometimes like the jail cell card. So there's also an element here of maybe you also are very good about perceiving the ways people are trapped in certain mindsets. I think that's a part of where your analytical ability plays into this thing that higher self wants you to build. So not just the way other people are trapped in the past, but in the way that they're trapped in ways of thinking that restrict themselves. I almost wonder if you tend to have a fascination or an interest in things like speculative fiction, pile number 1, like perhaps fantasy, horror, sci-fi, insert those genres here, because you don't see the world just as the mundane thing it is, which, I mean, of course we all know it isn't really as mundane as we think it is, but, comparing your worldview to the worldview of most people, like if you were to ask, every single person, like how do they view the world, of course it's going to be a little bit different, but in general, I think compared to you, most people would see it as like, oh, well, here's the physical reality, here's this thing, whereas you, pile number 1, I think you see things in a more spiritual and more magical reality, okay? So that's why I'm asking, like, do some of you maybe read speculative fiction, fantasy, sci-fi, horror, because I'm seeing a lot of this thing you're meant to build or create kind of stems out of this mindset that you have that is so unique to you, something that's very special about you that I think your higher self wants you to expand upon more. But of course, yeah, let's see more cards. I am still just talking about the first 2. And then we have the Knight of Cups, following and taking action with our hearts, especially when it comes to other people and relationships, being the cup suit, which is about water, which is about those very same exact things, okay? So, interesting. We have the Knight of Cups, following your heart. Yeah, I think another thing about you, pile 1, is you march to the beat of your own drum, to use the old saying. You really are offbeat in a very special, very unique, and, like, good way, okay? So, because when I say offbeat, I don't take it as the negative connotation of like, oh, you think I'm weird. Well, you're weird in a good way, pile 1, which is exactly what your higher self wants you to expand upon here with this particular project. And then we have the Lovers reversed, which traditionally, it can be interpreted in 2 different ways, as I always say. Those of you familiar with the way I read the Lovers cards, sometimes it's a relationship, sometimes it's the more traditional interpretation of the Lovers as a choice of some sort, okay? In reversed, it's like helping people make a choice or, helping people connect with one another. So I think, even though you tend to be more out there in terms of your focus on the other side or the magical reality or kind of a more unique viewpoint or way of seeing life, pile 1, I think you are still very people-oriented, though. I don't think in any way that it's influenced you to be, you might be introverted and a bit more reclusive, pile 1, just because of the way you, I think you kind of give me a little bit of hermit energy vibes, just because, I think a lot of people that are into these things tend to be really deep thinkers, and I think a lot of deep thinkers, not always, but a lot of them tend to be more introverted, right? Although there are extroverts that are deep thinkers. I feel bad because sometimes it's a stereotype that, we think introverts are the greatest, deeper thinkers, but there's a lot of extroverted people that are as well, and it's like I feel that introvert vibe, but I think at the same time, it's outward focused deep thinking. You're an introvert, but you think about the connections between different people a lot, how people interact a lot, maybe even just society in general, especially if you are like a fan of, say, sci-fi or like dystopian novels, things like that, because you do have to be kind of focused on how does society interact with one another, people within that society, what can make a society go wrong, what can make it go right, things like that, okay? All that just from the Lovers particular, that card, but Yeah, you're people-oriented, even though you might technically be internally focused. And then we have the Five of Wands, which is about ego. It's about competition of wills, or competitiveness in a little bit more of a lighthearted way. Interesting as your final card, okay? Maybe that's where ideas clash. So, you know what I'm seeing so far, pile number 1, is what your higher self wants you to build or create, based on what we've gotten from these cards, is a life where you help break people out of their old ways of thinking. Like we said here with the Six of Cups, old ways, nostalgia in a bad way. Break them out of their jail cell there, of the mind with the Devil, okay? To follow their heart more and make choices that, even if they conflict with society, might be better for society in a way, or for themselves in a way that maybe even, I'm trying to think of like a really good example, pile number 1. Like, think of something in society that really grinds your gears. Something that is not good for people, but people do it anyways because society pressures them to. And based on what I am kind of intuitively feeling about you, pile 1, I'm sure there's probably a lot that you're already answering mentally. You're like, why this, that. And think about like how you wish you could just take some of those people and shake them a little bit by the shoulders and say, you don't have to do this thing just because society says you have to do it. Look at the ways your life would improve if you didn't do what society said in this particular area of your life, right? That's exactly what you're meant to do. That's exactly what you're meant to build and create, pile number 1. You're someone who helps people see beyond. Remember the Datura, the moonflower, is your pile leader, finding what is lost and seeing what others can't. And it's very interesting too, because we do have a little bit of some elements of like nostalgia, actually, in a good way too, because Datura, like I said, finding what is lost, and then bam, right after that you got the card of the past with the Six of Cups. So not only, I think, are you meant to build some sort of life where you help people look towards the future, I think another aspect of it is you're meant to build a life where you help people remember things from the past, finding what is lost, remember? Finding those things from the past that we've forgotten that are good for us, okay? Because that's another thing that society does, is sometimes we toss things out that are actually good for us as humans because we think, well, that's the old way of thinking, right? Like we often do that. I'm not a doctor. I always have to claim I'm not medically trained, but sometimes we do that with herbal remedies versus just taking a pill, is one example. The old-fashioned way is the herbal remedy before we had modern medicine, right? Now, of course, yes, if you're, in pain, taking an ibuprofen or Advil, whatever, Tylenol, insert thing here, yes, that can relieve your pain, but what we don't remember is that actually, like, say, for example, aspirin, I believe was discovered by Native Americans I think it was willow bark, I'm pretty sure. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But it relieved pain from the elements or the chemicals that were within the willow bark. That's the old way of doing something that we've kind of forgotten because, well, now we just take an aspirin, the chemical equivalent of what was in the willow bark originally, okay? So things like that, pile number 1. Doesn't have to be regarding like herbal cures or medicine or anything like that. I mean, it could, but other things too from the past that we've forgotten or left behind that are better for us, older ways of living, other older ways of doing things. But at the same time, you have this future focus as well of reminding people as well of, things that we should just leave in the past. Okay, so this is what I'm seeing so far. So you're kind of like, if I had to summarize you in one word with this one thing that higher self wants you to focus on, is building or creating future vision for others, helping other people see the future and living better ways of life that they can't see because they feel trapped within the mindset of society, the jail cell that is the Devil card, okay? Following their heart more, making better choices, okay? Questioning things more too. That's a Five of Wands energy. Five of Wands energy is not just taking things at face value. It's saying, hey, wait a minute, let's bash these two ideas together and actually see what is the better way to live or what's the better thing to do. It's not just saying, oh, well, the society says it, so I guess I'll just do it. No, a Five of Wands is like, well, wait a minute, let's clash these ideas together and let's actually logically put them one up against each other. and then what is the actual true answer. So I don't know too, maybe if you're interested a lot in like debate, maybe you're interested in say like politics pile 1, or like just debates in general, or like the art of debate, right? Maybe you were really good in school about writing like argumentative essays or persuasive essays. I feel like there's a really, it's interesting, you didn't get any swords cards, which swords are typically the suit of air in tarot, which is regarding like communication and truth and things like that. But I don't know, even so, I feel like I'm getting a lot of air energy off of you. So I don't know if you have a lot of air placements in your astrological chart, okay? Or like maybe your sun sign is air, which would be, let's see, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, okay? I'm getting that feeling off of you. Also, maybe, though, specifically Libra, because Libra is a lot about balance and justice, right? Very justice-oriented people. Okay, so let's look at your other cards as well. We'll glean even more details. Let's look at your Soul Mirror Oracle for today. Anything else you want to talk to Pile 1 about what you want them to build or create or foster more in their life here? Spirit, higher self. Let's see. Right there. We have portal open versus closed. That's kind of like what I was saying a little bit, pile number 1 before. Being a portal. Because when you think about the definition of a portal, pile 1, we think of an anchor point between two different distances that are traversed instantly. Part of this is you as a portal. You are a portal for the universe, for spirit, or however you want to refer to it, your preference here. To bring forward more forward-thinking ideas and helpful traditions, so both future and past, to people in the present to help accelerate development of human beings along. Because even here, we kind of see almost like a mother energy here because she's holding a child. And 2, of course, we think of feminine energy as being a portal. Feminine energy is a portal to life, right? Bringing it into being. Manifesting things is feminine energy, okay? Creating things. And so you kind of embody that archetype of the mother, the archetype of the creator, the portal through which these things are brought to help forward humanity along. Okay, so I guess we're kind of getting into a life purpose a bit here because, well, it's kind of, entangled a bit with things that your higher self wants you to do. But what beautiful energy here. So, 2, ways that this can manifest, pile number 1, especially with portal, like that creative energy, that feminine energy that's popping out, is I almost wonder, well, number 1, your connections with other people. I think that's one way that higher self would want you to manifest this project or this purpose a little bit more. Other people and your connections, especially to, I would say, younger generations, okay? Don't be afraid to be a voice to younger people about these things, about, okay, here's an old way of doing things that society has forgotten that is actually really helpful, or this is something that society does that we need to leave in the past. Let me show you the way. Things like that. I think you're really good catalyst to teaching. I don't know, maybe you do work with children, pile number 1, or maybe you have children, etc., or you're around a lot of children in your family. And if so, that's, one way is like that influence you have on the youth, on the generation after you, or generations plural, I should say. So not only through your connections, but also I'm hearing through art. I don't know if some of you maybe are into, like, say, drawing, painting, writing, insert creative medium here. I think that's another way that you would be really good about embodying this thing that higher self wants you to build or create, okay? Is literally creating in terms of expressing these ideas through art. And for some reason, it's like, I think social media plays a part with this with you, I'm hearing. Like, there's something about your art or your medium, this creative thing that you make that is like meant to be shared with more people. I think because that's where the people and relationships thing comes in as well. It's like you're supposed to like bring it in front of the biggest audience possible. Like, I almost want to say, and I hope this doesn't come off as wrong to say this, pile number 1, but the word I'm hearing is billboard. Like, there's a message from spirit, from the universe, and you're the billboard, or maybe a fountain is maybe a better metaphor to use. Like, you are the billboard or the fountain through which this message springs and is shown to other people on the highway of life. Like, they're driving along, they're just doing their thing, they're following the path they think they have to follow, and then boom, they look off to the side as they're driving, and they see this billboard, you. And they're like, oh, this person has a message that is telling me something about, you know, maybe a different way I can take, maybe a different way I can do something, right? I mean, obviously you're not like, you know, an advertising billboard, but like a billboard, or like I said, a fountain for the universe or spirit, for its ideas to flow forth for other people to drink from, okay? Beautiful imagery with that, too. All right, anything else? Spirit, higher self of pile 1. Okay, well, that was quite prominent. Those just popped out right in front of us. We have the Tailor, attention to detail and pride. We have another water symbolism. I wonder if you, too, maybe have a lot of water placements in your chart, because you also got a lot of cups as well in your reading. And it is the feminine, right? Water is a feminine element in cartomancy. So attention to detail and pride. So maybe some of you are actually into like yarn work, fabric work, textile work, crocheting, knitting, sewing, embroidering, things like that, quilting. Insert your particular textile work here. So not only are you supposed to do this in a way that is helpful to others in breaking them out of these mind prisons that they got locked in because of society, but at the same time, it's like the way you do it with specific detail and the way you walk on the not well-traveled path with pride. Remember I said it's like you march to the beat of your own drum? You do it loudly and you do it proudly, and that's kind of what stands out to other people, just like a billboard would be, or like, you know, a fountain. They would notice it and be like, oh, look at all these this wonderful thing springing forth that like pile 1 is an example of, and oh, maybe, you know, I should adopt that into my life. Okay, just once again speeding the development of humanity along. And then the second one we have is the Chiromancer, another water. Okay, we literally have like a palm reading here. Delivering news and collaboration. Yes. Okay, so I'm sorry it's a bit repetitive, pile 1, but we're seeing this again here with delivering news and collaboration. So we also not only have the element of working with other people with the collaboration keyword that we talked about before, about like you're supposed to connect with others. You're supposed to reach people en masse, and especially to the youth, people that are younger than you. And then, yes, delivering news. Like you're supposed to read things from the universe here, just like we would in someone's palm, and send that message out to other people. Be that deliverer of news, just like a billboard literally is a deliverer of, well, I guess marketing, but news, right? Technically. Beautiful. What a beautiful purpose here. Beautiful thing that they want you to build or create. So I almost wonder if some of you are working on, or might be like drawn to, if you haven't already started it, like a project regarding something that you would post on social media, or a certain kind of social media account that would be really like a main tangible project to funnel this energy into. And if so, pile 1, that's a really, really strong encouragement from your higher self to go for it. Okay. Especially too through art and things like that, like we talked about. Like if you have art that you create that makes a message, post it online. And then we have overthinking. Look at that. Kind of once again is a bit repetitive, because what that says to me, pile 1, is that I was correct when I was saying you tend to be the analytical sort earlier in the reading. I think it was the very beginning when we were talking about the Datura, seeing things beyond. You don't see things just as they are, pile 1. You see things for what they could be. And that is one of your greatest strengths I'm hearing from this reading, okay? You don't just take things at face value. You say, well, is that really the truth? And you seek that truth. You find it, like a hound running after some sort of quarry, right? Definitely air energy here. A lot of air, a lot of water energy. Okay, so a lot of thinking, a lot of emotional connection type energy. Okay, so, you know, even if we just look at what your higher self wants you to build in terms of just looking at the elements of everything coming forward with that water and that air. Well, water and air is where communication and relationships meet. So connecting with others, sharing your logic and your thinking, the things that you overthink about a lot with others, okay? Because here's the thing, is that a lot of these ideas, I think, you already have them in your mind, pile one, and there might be a part of you that's just reluctant to share because you're like, well, I'm not really sure anyone would care, or you're like, I don't know if anyone would listen to me. But it's like Spirit is saying, or your higher self, I should say in this case, like, why would you contain all of this to just you? Okay. I mean, that might be another meaning of the devil, of imprisoning or jailing something, holding something back. You need to release those things. You need to take action with your heart here with the Knight of Cups. Remember, is the heart of the matter. Taking action with our feelings. With the things that you've been overthinking about, the things that maybe even plague you at night about society. You're like, why do we do this? Because here's the thing, pile number one. You might think that you don't have any impact on society at all. You might think, I am just one drop in an ocean. Okay? But at the same time, an idea can't start to spread and grow if there isn't one origin point to put it out there for people to grab onto the idea and then spread it themselves. Okay, so if you have ideas surrounding these things that we've discussed today, that is the project or the thing that your higher self wants you to build or create, is sharing these things about what you've seen beyond what society says you should see. Okay? Be the portal through which Spirit and the universe can progress humanity with more forward thinking, while also not forgetting the wisdom of the past that we've lost. Okay? So, beautiful energy. Thank you for letting me read your energy and your higher self's message today, pile number one. If you liked the reading, and of course, if it helped you and resonated with you most of all, please like the video itself, please comment down below, and please subscribe to Lone Pine Tarot if you haven't done so yet. Just a half a second for you, a little button click, which is helping me immeasurably with keeping the dream of this channel alive, of providing spiritual healing and guidance to others. And as I always say, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, pile one. Hello there, pile number two. Welcome today to your pick a card reading about what your higher self wants you to build and create. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to Aconite, number 46, as your pile leader. And in this particular deck, Aconite is a symbol of, basically they call it like a scholar's plant. It is a plant that represents learning things and knowledge and wisdom, okay? So right off the bat, what I'm hearing with what your higher self wants you to build is something to do with your intellect, something to do with your knowledge, your wisdom, or perhaps you tend to be the type of person that likes to knowledge gather. Maybe you're even in school right now, earning a degree, earning a certification, some sort of program, or maybe you even work in a school. Maybe your whole life has been kind of dedicated to this learning, or even if that's not your main focus, pile two, it could be that a lot of your hobbies or a lot of your pastimes, the things you like to do when you have free time, are around this curiosity, this drive to know. Okay, so we'll keep that in mind as we look at your entire pile, every other card today, but I get the feeling that you, out of all three piles today, you're going to be more of kind of the brainiacs. You're going to be more of the learners, the scholars, as, like it said for this particular card being a scholar's plant. So let's first look at your tarot spread, drawing those cards now and asking your higher self to expand more about what they want you to build or create, especially more maybe about a specific project of some sort or goal. Okay, this one does not want to go back in. It says pick me. Okay, we're going to shuffle that one more time. There we go. Bit of a smoother one. And let's cut the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, looking at your tarot spread today, pile number 2. First up, we have the Four of Wands, okay? And the Four of Wands is all about home and celebration and stability, especially when it comes to our ambitions, is how I personally read it, being, Wands is the fire suit of tarot. Interesting. Home and stability and connecting that with knowledge. I'm getting a little bit of an inkling, and I could be wrong, but intuitively, I almost wonder if some of you are interested in like landscaping or architecture or knowledge around engineering. And then we have the Page of Pentacles reversed, okay, needing to explore our opportunities regarding career more. I almost wonder too if this means that what you're doing right now isn't necessarily a part of this goal that your higher self wants you to create or build, which doesn't necessarily mean that you're on the wrong path, pile number 2. Not at all. So don't take it as in like, oh, I need to change careers or anything. What it means, though, is that I feel like this Page of Pentacles reversed means that you haven't dabbled in it yet. This is kind of an untapped potential for you, this particular goal that they want you to maybe consider, okay? Yeah, and then we've got a flower, too. Looks like a sunflower there with that Page of Pentacles reversed. And then we have the Hierophant, which is about spirituality and authority. Very interesting. Maybe a little bit too of a goal regarding something that the spirit or universe wants you to work on. Maybe, of course, oftentimes, and this is just me talking intuitively for your particular spread, for the betterment of humanity. A pile 1 had kind of a similar message there too. But, you know, because when the Hierophant comes up, I always think, oh, spirituality. This is about being a spiritual leader of some sort. Okay, and then we have the Wheel of Fortune. Very good. We have a card that is all about karma and good turns of luck and, well, like it says on the tin, fortune. A little bit about career and money here too with that too, especially the Wheel of Fortune with the Page of Pentacles. And then we have the Nine of Pentacles. Speaking of more career cards, Pentacles are the suit of career and finances. We have a Nine of Pentacles as the final card. The cat that got the yarn, and what that represents, pile number 2, is a card about earning the fruits of your labor. You put a quarter in and now you get what you got out. Or you get out what you put in. Okay. Kind of like a gumball machine. That was the metaphor I always like to use with my Nine of Pentacles cards, right? So, you know, interesting, pile 2. This is a very, very interesting, unique spread. So we have the Scholar card. We have a card of home, needing to explore this more, spiritual authority, luck, and the fruits of your labor. Okay, it should click for me in a second here. Oh, you know what it is? Pile number 2. You're meant to use your knowledge to help guide people towards more stable ways of living. Also, towards places where they reap what they've sown. Also, to be a spiritual authority in these matters. So what does that mean tangibly? Okay, because I am kind of just, I listed off more like higher level things, right? One way that this could manifest, pile number 2, is say, I don't know, maybe some of you have a little bit of a pet peeve when you see someone being taken advantage of, especially when it comes to work or when they're being fairly recompensed for their time, okay? Being fairly paid for their time, okay? It's like, I think you have a need to help people. You have a need to make sure that they're getting out what they put in. And I think that's, too, where this exploring opportunities more, especially in the realm of career or finance, comes in with that Page of Pentacles. Not only is that, I think, representative of this is something you haven't maybe dabbled in at least much on a manifestation tangible level yet, but it's also you helping other people see these things too, opportunities that they haven't explored. I almost wonder if like you would be really good with like career counseling or helping people kind of see the way regarding things that are in the tangible, like Pentacles I sometimes see as a health card too, or suit. So health, I see sometimes it as like home related things, material things that we've got, and of course, like I said, the more traditional career and finances reading of Pentacles. So in these different areas, yes, health, home, career, finances, I think you're supposed to be a spiritual guide. You know, and it's interesting because pile 2, oftentimes we always kind of think, oh, well, you know, mundane material things, there's nothing really that spiritual about it. You know, those are the kind of the very human things that we do, okay? You know, we pilot our meat suit, you know, or our body, I should say. We go to work. We make the money. We don't really feel like there's not much spiritual about that. But there is pile number 2, especially in today's world, where I think a lot of our material pursuit of wealth and career has become more and more disconnected from spirituality and meaning. Okay. I'm sure a lot of us too, speaking of Wheel of Fortune, feel like a cog in the wheel at our regular jobs. And I think part of your goal, or what your higher self wants you to build or create, is a space for other people to feel like they can go to you for guidance on finding meaning and finding spirituality in things that our modern society says have none, aka the pursuit of wealth and career. Okay. So this isn't just about helping people find wealth in the, ching money way, right? Making that money. But at the same time, it's also helping them find wealth in meaning in what they do. All right. Not just for the sake of, a paycheck, for the sake of what makes me excited to get out of bed today. Helping people find that. And that's important, pile number 2, because like I said, in our modern society, we need a lot of people like you that know how to do that for other people, okay? A lot of people have lost their way. They think about money and absolutely nothing else. They think about, and it's not a blame on them, pile number 2, and we all fall prey to this because in our human bodies, we have to worry about survival. That's not a fault. And especially in today's economy, and everything, going on in the world, no matter where you're from, we're heavily focused on survival in the economy and things like that, more material things. But you're supposed to wrench people back. You're supposed to take a lasso, so to speak, in a metaphorical way, and pull them back to, okay, well, wait a minute, but what are we actually doing? What's the meaning of this? And maybe you consider that a lot. Maybe in the past, pile 2, you've struggled with that a lot yourself regarding careers or jobs that you've had. Maybe you've kept asking yourself, well, what's the meaning of this? Yes, I make money, but is really money the end goal? What is life if it's just spent in the pursuit of something as simple and as heartless as money, right? You might ask yourself that a lot. And maybe you found the answer. I think maybe that's where that key is in the Aconite. You learned it yourself, or you're on that path of learning, like the scholar's plant of Aconite, right? Learning and knowledge and wisdom. And you're supposed to share that with others to help them find stability, to help them explore their options. Be a spiritual leader, help them find fortune, and help them reap what they sowed. To make sure they get paid fairly. Okay, maybe you even work in things like a union of some sort. Of course, that depends on your career field. Some career fields don't have unions, but a lot of them do. Actors unions, writers unions, a lot of blue-collar work has unions, right? That might be another way, like at least a tangible way that this manifests, making sure people are treated fairly, okay? Things along those lines. And then let's look at your other cards today, pile number 2. Let's look at your oracle cards. Shuffle them for you. Okay, what else do you want pile 2 to create or build? Right there, okay. We have attention, resistant versus surrendered. Attention, paying attention to things, pointing things out. And that resistant versus surrendered makes me think once again of kind of the reality of how we live our modern lives in our modern societies, pile number 2. Maybe a lot of people have just kind of, maybe even yourself in the past before you kind of woke up and realized, well, this isn't the way we're supposed to live life. Felt like you had to surrender to that idea of, well, this is just the way that society has to be. This is just the way that finances and career and money making works. The unhappiness and the dissatisfaction is just a part of the job. But I think you woke up and I think you realized that's not it, pile number 2. You realized, I don't have to surrender to this. I can resist it. We can live life in different ways. I can show people the way. And thus, attention, bringing people's attention to these things. Asking people, are you really happy with what you do? Are you really happy with the way your life is going? Things like that. We'll expand upon that a little bit more in a second, but we do have some other oracle cards to draw, which, of course, the more we draw, the more we might see intertangled messages. Okay, anything else, higher self? Any other details? Okay, we've got one that popped out quite prominently. That is the brawler with the element of water. Lex talionis. Not sure what that means in Latin, but it is element of water, lack of empathy or confrontation. Okay, so we have a little bit of a fighter energy here. I wonder if some of this even kind of makes you angry sometimes, pile two. Like, why does society have to be this way? Why do our careers and making money have to be this way? And you might ask yourself, how do we get so disconnected from meaning in what we do? Because there's a lot of focus on the hands too. So maybe you're also kind of drawn to careers, or maybe that's kind of the trajectory that you're going on, or maybe you're thinking about is a career where you actually have meaning because you're doing something with your hands. It's something tangible. Okay, it's something that has meaning. It's something that actually gets results and impacts lives positively. Maybe that's another part of it too, pile two, where it's like you're drawn to wanting to impact others positively in tangible, meaningful ways, and not just, a job where it's, I don't know, you fill in numbers and it makes someone else's job easier, and then they make a lot of money doing something that maybe isn't necessarily good for society, or, of course, I won't give any specific examples, because, I think every job is important, pile number two, as much as, we might consider as a society that some jobs are less important than others, or less exciting than others. There's meaning in every job, but what I mean is I think you especially really connect, or like need a connection in meaning into what you do, or it's like you realize that after a while. So you're meant to fight that. You're supposed to be a bit of a confrontational person about it, in a positive way, of course. Don't get into fist fights over it, right? Not that you really could, but at the same time, it's not something that I think your higher self wants you to resign to. They want you to fight. Okay, like don't resist, or don't surrender, resist. Fight for those things, and fight for people's rights too, because remember I said I think some of you might work in unions. Same thing. Fight for people's rights, fight for your own rights, standing up for people, making sure they're getting what they're supposed to get out of their labor, like the Nine of Pentacles says. And then we have the Waker with the element of fire, awareness and reflection. Yep, opening people's eyes. Wake up, people. Maybe you think that to yourself a lot. Wake up. How come no one else is seeing this? And that's part of your job, or part of what your higher self wants you to do, pile number two, is you need to wake other people up. You need to say, hey, wait a minute. Do you really like what you do? Do you really find meaning in what you do? How connected is what you do to your soul? Questions. Making people ask those questions about themselves, okay? And reflection, too. Maybe you even ask, or some of you too, I'm wondering if intuitively that maybe some of you were in careers where you did feel like what you were doing was actually not ethically right. Not in a way that you were doing something specifically wrong, pile two, but like maybe the company you were working for, or like the product or the service that they provided, you were like, I don't know, is this really actually something that's good for humanity? And you help other people wake up to those things too. Okay. Making sure that what we do is helpful and doesn't harm. Making sure that it's connected to the universe and the spirit of humans, rather than just profit-driven motivations. Of course, you need profit, pile two, for a business to exist. We all know that. Nothing wrong with making money to survive. Nothing wrong with making money for a business to exist. But at the same time, you probably ask yourself a lot, well, where does the line between profit and humanity lie? And then here we go. We've got adventure, breaking the chains. What do you know, pile number two? We have another synchronicity there in number 7. Adventure, breaking people's chains. Look at that. Breaking them out of those thought processes that hold them back. Even in your Aconite, you have a key. Like a key would break someone's shackles or open them for them. Open their jail cell. Make them wake up. Break their chains from thinking that this is the way life has to be. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to be taken advantage of. You don't have to work a job that's unfulfilling. You don't have to work a career that you're not even sure if it's providing something tangibly beneficial to humanity. Okay? You don't have to work a career that's ethically ambiguous, right? And I think, like I said, you're meant to be that guidepost to other people to show them you can break those chains. You can wake up out of that dream. Okay, that's really kind of more of a nightmare sometimes, really. It's not really so much of a dream, it's a nightmare sometimes. You don't have to surrender to the way that life says you have to live, or society says you have to live your life, I should say. Okay, helping people find fortune that isn't always in how many numbers they have in their bank account. Okay. Beautiful. Too, and I think this kind of ties into a little bit of that justice theme. I wonder if some of you kind of remind me of pile 1. I wonder if some of you are Libras. There's a lot of justice in this reading as well. Especially with the union side of things. It's like standing up for people's rights. Making sure they aren't just a cog in a machine that's suffering just to survive. And then even, too, I didn't notice this before, but you do have in your Aconite, it's almost like a, I don't know what particular kind of animal it is, but it is a horned animal. It's got horns, like it's fighting. Oh, and then your Hierophant, too, is a ram. It's got horns. And then the Brawler, like fighting. So, I mean, pile 2, you can take the advice or the suggestion from this reading in any direction you want. But if I had to give one specific sort of guidepost from your higher self is, I think you're supposed to kind of get up more in other people's faces about these things because of so many imagery, synchronicities of like horned animals, of like a brawler, okay, breaking chains. It's something very action oriented, okay, something, not to fix things in the tangible, we have to do things tangibly, right? So get out there, if you haven't already, get out there and go forth and help people find more fairness and more meaning in what they do. Remind them that they don't have to surrender to things. Remind them that they don't have to feel chained and weighed down and like life is meaningless. Okay? Wake people up. Fight for them. Help them explore their options rather than letting them just think that there's only one path and that's the one path they have to walk. You're the person on the side of the path saying, hey, wait a minute, no, there's a side path over here. Yes, it's less traveled, but it's so much better for you as a person and so much better for your soul and your health in every single way. And humanity as a whole, right? So, very beautiful. You're like pile 1 today, where I think your part of what your higher self wants you to do, pile 2, is something that is a mission to humanity. It's a service to humanity. Okay, fighting and standing up for people. And then also, of course, using your intellect, because remember, Aconite is the scholar's plant. Doing so in a way that emphasizes your brain and your intelligence, okay? Not just action, because we have a brawler, we have someone that's willing to fight, but of the mind as well, okay? So if I had to summarize you in one sentence, or at least what your higher self wants you to do, pile 2, with this thing they want you to build or create freedom, help other people create meaning, okay, and help fight for other people to get what they deserve. That's how I would summarize what your higher self wants you to build and create, okay? Also, the word inspiration is coming forward, inspiring others in these ways. It's at least the last intuitive message I'm hearing for your pile. So, beautiful, beautiful energy, pile 2. Thank you so much for letting me read from your higher self to you. If you liked the video, and of course, most of all, if it resonated and helped you, please like the video itself. Please comment down below, and please subscribe to Lone Pine Tarot if you haven't done so already. As I always say, it just helps me out a little bit. It's just a tiny button click away for you, which helps me immeasurably with keeping the dream of the channel alive in terms of spiritually healing people and giving people guidance and providing free readings for both you and others in the future. And as I always say in our tradition, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, pile 2. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 3. Welcome to your pick a card reading about what your higher self wants you to create and or build. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to Henbane number 51 as your pile leader. And Henbane, in this particular deck, represents completing journeys, guiding the dead, and helping move things to the next level, specifically because I believe it was in ancient Greece. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below, but I believe it was ancient Greece, where they would crown the dead with a literal crown of henbane that they would wear symbolically down the river Styx on their journey towards the next world in the afterlife. Okay, so I wonder if some of you, pile 3, are a bit intuitive. I wonder if some of you maybe are, specifically I would say mediums, because mediums tend to work from this side to the other side, right, with the dead, because of how closely linked Henbane is as a symbol to the dead and then moving on to the next. So we'll see some more details, of course, in your other cards, but at least part, I think, of what I'm seeing here is, for some of you, this is in a more spiritual context, so perhaps in a way of literally like mediumship, helping the dead move on towards the afterlife, or in a more mundane way, helping people move forward, helping them move on from things and helping them complete journeys. Now, one way that I can see that being tangible is, say, being a therapist, right? By helping people move on from things that hurt them. Or it might not even have to be specifically a career, pile 3. It could be even just in the way that you interact with other people, just through the way that your energy resonates just by being around them. You're not even having to say a single word. Your energy helps people heal and helps them move on. So keep that in mind as we look through your other cards today. First, we're going to do a tarot spread. So higher self of pile 3. What more do you want to say about this thing you want them to build or create? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's look at your spread today. First up, we have the Lovers reversed. Okay, so I read this card in one of 2 ways. The more common modern interpretation is the Lovers is about literally a relationship of some sort. A more traditional interpretation, from what I at least have studied, the Lovers tends to represent a choice of some sort. Reversed, it's about either disharmony in relationships, or it's about making better choices, or being stuck between a hard choice. Or 2 different hard choices, I should say. Interesting how that comes up next to Henbane. Let's look at your next card, get more of the picture. We have the 3 of Cups reversed. Okay. Something about with negative social situations or negative social events. So a lot of, so far, cards about other people and groups of people with this thing that they want you to create. Then we've got the 8 of Pentacles being hard at work. This is the card of repetition, of being nose to the grindstone about things. And especially as your heart of the matter, I call the central card of the spread I like to use, pile 3. That tends to be like the overarching maybe way that this manifests is you being hard at work on something, okay? Keep going. We've got the Empress, which is mother energy, feminine energy at its strongest, especially upright. And that is all about creating things. It's about nurturing things. It's about being a portal through which things are manifested from the above world to here. Okay. Beautiful. And I'm noticing pile 3, and this has happened to pile 1 and 2 as well. Every single pile today, their higher self wanted them to work on something that progressed humanity forward. And I'm already kind of seeing that too with you. Obviously, it's different for every single pile, but I think you two are supposed to have some sort of like humanity-oriented mission here with what they're trying to tell you. And then we have the Queen of Swords reversed as the final card, okay? Something to do with people speaking in more kind ways, speaking in more logical ways. Interesting how that pops up there. First swords card of the entire spread. We've got, well, basically everything except a wands card. So no fire, but we've got water, earth, and air as our elements. Okay, let's look at this all in one picture, pile 3. It might take a second for it to click for me. What do they want you to build or create? Especially, too, with the Empress. Nurturing. You know, pile 3, I don't know if you tend to feel kind of like a parent to other people a lot, if that's been a theme in your life. Especially, too, maybe kind of in a motherly energy, which, you know, it doesn't matter if you are male or female, pile 3. You know, we all can exhibit motherly or fatherly energy in different ways to people, but I think you specifically tend to... It's like a very nurturing, motherly, creative energy here. Very soothing, very, it's caring in a tender way. In a way that speaks to people's emotions, in a way that speaks to people's heart. And especially, too, next to the Queen of Swords reversed, it's about making them improve the way that they speak to themselves or the way that they speak to others. And then we have so many relationship-related cards here in the beginning with the Lovers reversed and the Three of Cups reversed, okay? Oh, you know what it is, pile 3. It just clicked. This happened with pile 2, too. It took a second to click. Now it clicked. I think what your higher self wants you to build or create is something where you can help people, connecting it with that moving on energy of Henbane, help them move on from bad relationships or bad social situations in a nurturing way, and that helps them reframe the way that they think about themselves. So once again, I'm really drawn to thinking, like, I don't know if some of you are therapists or you're interested in studying psychology and using that to help other people, especially because of the way that you might help talk to people too. There's just a lot here about, bad relationships, bad social groups, and you working hard to nurture that pain out of people, okay? And I think too, even if this does manifest more in a spiritual way, like I think maybe some of you do have like mediumship abilities, more intuitive, psychic related things, a lot of working with the spirits of the dead, it really is kind of therapy in and of itself, helping them move on, because there's things that they're stuck on. Okay, being a medium is kind of like being a therapist for the dead, really is what it is. And so either, for the dead or for the alive, maybe even both, because like I said, Henbane represents, the veil. It represents the before and it represents the after, completing journeys and guiding people, helping them move from one world to the next, okay? Either way, like I said, dead or alive, you're helping people move on and move forward, okay? So you're a nurturer of the heart, or at least that's what your higher self wants you to start working on if you aren't already at that point yet, to help people reframe their own self-narratives about their worth as people, especially because maybe they were rejected a lot in the past or had a lot of, issues being bullied as a child. Maybe that's one way that this can manifest, or they had issues, with a really bad love relationship experience or family-related problems, okay? Especially, too, with the Three of Cups, meaning groups of people. You're supposed to heal pile 3. You're supposed to help them mend their heart. You're a mender of the heart, really, is what I'm seeing here as what your higher self wants you to work on, okay? Or to build, as I should say. And working hard on it, too, in a tangible way, because the Eight of Pentacles, like I said, is the card of being hard at work. It's nose to the grindstone energy. And so I think it might even be a really good career for you if you are already, or if you haven't if you haven't decided a career yet, or if you're changing careers, that would be a really good place to look, is in these areas, pile 3. Or even if, like I said, it's not a tangible career for you, it would be a really good kind of like side goal to have to your career. All right, helping the dead move on or helping the living move on in some way, especially when it comes to nurturing. Too, when we think of nurturing, that can manifest in many different ways, too. That can manifest in the way that we talk to people, helping them through our words, our actions, doing things for them, okay? 2, for some reason, I'm seeing something about food. I don't know if some of you are like cooks or bakers, or like you like to cook or bake for people to make them happier. Maybe food is a love language of yours, and so providing food or baking or cooking for other people really helps you, make you feel like you're healing them in some way. Maybe food is even kind of a heal for yourself. Maybe you're drawn to food in that way, in which case I think that's another indicator of like a way that you could tangibly work on this goal that they want you to create or build, is caring for other people with just as simple as food, okay? As simple as just giving them a meal that tastes good, okay? Of course, it can expand in ways far beyond that as well. But that is what I'm seeing so far, pile 3. Summarizing everything is you're meant to help people cross over from lower planes of living or less happy ways of living or less happy moments in life to happier planes, happier ways of living, okay? Let's look at some of your other cards. I first want to look at your Citadel Oracle. So, higher self of pile 3, anything else you want to tell them about this goal you want them to work on, this thing you want them to build? Maybe even like a tangible way? Oh, that was quite quick. Okay, well, Holy crap. Okay. I can only take 2 cards from this particular deck just because of my limited space. I'm going to take the first 2 that popped out, which were these that kind of just flung off to the side, pile number 3. So let's put the deck over here, and then looking at these 2. Oh, actually, well, you did get 3. I will take the 3. Okay, we'll make it fit. Number 1, we have the Adventurer, which is water, responsibility, and expectations. And specifically, we have a volcano. Responsibility and expectations. And when we think of an adventurer, we think of someone who does pass from one world to another. Okay? Literally, when we even think about, if you're familiar with writing terms, pile 3, there's an entire archetype of Western literature called the hero's journey. And it's literally a common archetype within, I'm going to guarantee you, 99.999% of Western literature, at least, all the way back to, say, like the Odyssey from Homer, where it follows similar story beats regarding what kind of journey a hero goes on, hence the hero's journey, right? And an adventurer is a hero in our archetypes. Okay? So I almost wonder if that connects to this moving from one world to another in the way where, I don't know, I wonder too, some of you might have an affinity for, I don't know why I'm seeing this, and maybe this is crazy, but are some of you into more adventurous hobbies, like, for some reason, like whitewater rafting was coming to mind, or kayaking, or canoeing on rougher waters, or more dangerous things like that, like more extreme sports, like, I don't know, paragliding maybe, something a little bit out of people's comfort zone, that maybe even makes them feel like a brush with death, like skydiving. That's another really good example. Skydiving, we'll go with that. Because it's like, one of the thrills of, like, say, skydiving is the danger of it, right? We get the thrill because we're like, oh my god, we're falling to earth, and we feel like it's just a free fall, and like nothing's going to catch us. And of course, we have parachutes that catch us, but it's like it's really odd. It's like helping people see the absolute height of living through things that brush near death. It's one of those things, again, where it's like crossing from like a blurred veil between life and death here. I wonder, have some of you had a near-death experience, pile 3? Feel free to weigh down in the comments down below, but I swear to God, some of you have had an NDE. They call it near-death experience. Because you seem to have, I'm picking up intuitively, a view of life that's not... It's not that you don't take life as seriously as other people, I think you do, but you've seen beyond, both either in mediumship or an NDE of some sort, where you know to be less afraid of outcomes. You know to be less afraid of death because of it. I wonder, too, if you help people, or you're meant to help people fear death less. Especially, okay, for those of you especially that have had a near-death experience, please, 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 if you have not done so already, share your near-death experience with other people. I don't care if it's even just in the comments down below my small channels videos, right? Or even, like, I know there's different channels on YouTube where they collect a lot of near-death experiences that people talk about. Please, if that's you, please share that story, because there's something about what your higher self is saying. If you haven't done that already, you're supposed to share with other people to help them see beyond the blurred veil of life and death. Okay? To see the truth of life after death, the truth of what's beyond. You're an adventurer, right? And like I was saying with the hero's journey, I didn't even finish that thought because all the other stuff came in intuitively, but pile number 3, the hero's journey is someone that does technically visit the underworld and come back. Okay? They're in the familiar world, they go all the way over here into the unknown, and then they come back from the unknown to the known, just like we do in the cycle of life and death. There's something there with what your higher self wants you to focus on that looks at that cycle of life and death, helping people grow more comfortable with that cycle in some way. Something about you has been either near death or you've known a lot of death in your life. Something about that, pile number 3. And then we have the Archer with the element of air, biding your time and planning ahead. Interesting. Of course, we think of people that are very goal-focused when we think of archers, having to focus on the target before they draw well, I guess while they're drawing the bowstring to shoot the arrow. Planning ahead and biding your time. Interesting. I wonder if that is part of... Because we have kind of two elements coming forward. We have kind of helping people heal from bad experiences, especially with other people, nurturing them, and then like the death theme has come out. So biding your time and planning ahead. I'll come back to that pile 3. I think there's something intuitive that'll pop up, but I want to make sure that we are still progressing forward with the cards. And then, oh, you got one of the ones pile 2 got, the brawler number, the element of water with lack of empathy and confrontation. Yeah, it's like helping people confront death and face it. And then 2, especially I think those of you were, part of this message has been about helping people heal from bad experiences with relationships with other people or groups of people. Helping people heal from times of lack of empathy. I think because you have been alone a lot, pile 3. I think you know what it's like to have not been given any empathy. And so I think that's why you're really good about connecting with others with that empathy, either living or dead. And then, yeah, biding your time and planning ahead just makes me think of the death theme again for some reason. Like biding your time until death and then planning ahead for that death. I wonder if some of you might even be like lawyers as well, like helping people write wills, like planning for after. Or you might help people pass into the after, like a hospice nurse is the main thing I'm hearing right now as one example. Or if not pile 3, that would be a really, really good job for you if you're wondering about a career change. You know, helping people plan their... or maybe even funerals too, like a funeral director. Something along those lines. Pile 3, out of any pile, of course I love hearing all of you and all of your comments and feedback, but you especially pile 3, I want to hear your feedback today because I'm really, really dang curious about what all this is about. This sounds really interesting because there's so much here about those themes. Oopsie, there goes my crystals. What a cool pile. Yeah, you're like Odysseus, pile number 3. You're the archetype of the adventurer, of the hero. And what heroes do, another thing I'm hearing from your higher self to mention is heroes show people how to navigate the unknown by example. Right? Because think of your favorite book or movie character or video game character or TV show character, whatever medium. Think of your favorite character right now. Why do you like that character, pile number 3? And ask yourself, what did they navigate? What hardships did they experience that I respect that makes them my favorite character? Okay, that's another thing your higher self is asking you to ask yourself right now. Okay. And in what ways, pile 3, are you a hero? What unknowns have you come across and addressed that would help other people by seeing you as a character in a story to follow? Think of it that way. Think of yourself as a character in a book. Think of yourself as the way a writer would look at you, pile 3. And then we have reflection outward versus inward. And once again, we have someone holding up a mirror in front of her face, and it's like just the void. The cosmos within and the cosmos without. I swear to God, some of you have had a near-death experience. I won't repeat it too much more, but it's just really blaring in my face right here with all of these cards, pile 3. For sure, some of you have. And reflection outward and inward. I think, too, going along with that hero metaphor again, I think just being you, pile 3. Of course, this is something that your higher self wants you to tangibly work on and create, but just by being you and sharing your energy with other people, even just in presence without saying a word, I think you help people see their own story reflected in you. I wonder if a lot of people tend to come up to you and they're like, oh, I can relate to you a lot, or like you're able to relate to a lot of people very easily. Like you're kind of a mirror as well, or that's something that your higher self wants you to be, is a mirror to other people's struggles. And I think that also helps you in that empathy realm of being, therapeutic for other people, or even like a therapist for other people. like I said, living or dead, because you help reflect their story back to them in a way that's different than the way, because remember I said earlier, pile 3 was like, you change people's narratives, or you should, if you wanted to work on it, change people's narratives of the way that they talk or see their own story to themselves. That's you. So if one thing I'm also hearing is if you wanted something even just to work on today that your higher self would really appreciate, ask yourself, is there someone in my life right now that sees themselves as the victim or the villain of a story? And in what way do I perceive their story that I can tell them to change them into seeing themselves instead as a hero that endured? Okay? Just a little mini goal to work on. Something to food for thought. And then we have rest. Beautiful card to end the reading. Number 33. Rest. And once again, we have, I'm sorry it's repetitive, pile 3, but sometimes we just get a reading like that. A lot of things are repeated, which just confirms to me that my intuition is right. You help people put things to rest. You help put the dead to rest. You help put people living their worries to rest. You are shelter in the storm. You are solid rock in the chaos. Okay. What beautiful energy, pile number 3. Yeah, I tend not to pick favorites among my piles, but today, pile 3, I think you might be my favorite pile out of every single pile, because this is really, really awesome energy. I don't know. And a healer, too. Look at that. Healer guides. You're supposed to heal people as well. And we talked about that, emotionally, but maybe even physically, too. Like, if some of you are, like, say, hospice nurses, helping people feel better in the physical, tangible way as well. And, too, even with a lot of the guiding star imagery, we have a guiding star here in the Rest card. We have a guiding star here in the Brawler. You're also meant to be a guiding light to other people, like I said, through the example of your own story and how you're a hero in the adventure that you've been through so far. So share your story with other people, pile 3. Don't be afraid to help other people also see the hero in themselves and their own stories. And where you can, try to help people find rest in you and rest in their worries, either on this side of the veil or on the other side. Reflect to other people the truth about themselves that they're not seeing clearly because it's been distorted by what other people have distorted them. Be it groups of people, be it bad relationships. We have, like I said, the Lovers reversed and the Three of Cups reversed as the first 2 cards that came out. And work on it again and again. Nose to the grindstone. I think already pile 3, I don't even have to, or higher self doesn't even have to tell you to work on it. I think this is something that is so key to who you are as a soul that it's not even work for you. I think it's just a calling. It just feels that way to me. And nurture too. Remember the Empress nurturing. A lot of motherly energy in this particular spread. And like I said, that doesn't matter if you're male or female. We can all have motherly and fatherly energy to people. Okay. And also helping people see the heights of life through adventure. Like I said, maybe some of you do skydiving, whitewater rafting, maybe a little bit more extreme sports, I'm trying to think of other ones, but those are the main ones popping to mind right now. That might be another way you can manifest this, is things like that. So, gorgeous energy, pile 3. Thank you so much for letting me read your higher self message for today about what they want you to create and build. Really cool reading, really cool energy, like I said. So if you liked the video, and of course, most of all, if it helped and it resonated with you, please like the video itself. Please comment down below, especially you, pile 3. I want to hear your stories. You're interesting. Not that the other piles are not interesting, but you are especially, I'm just rabidly curious about. Comment and then subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. As I always say with my little spiel at the end, it's just a tiny button click away for you, which helps me immeasurably with keeping the dream of this channel alive, of helping people with spiritual guidance and healing, as well as providing free readings for both you and others in the future. And as is our tradition, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading, pile 3. Bye.